Yesshift, another live broadcast at our hotel on the road, or hotel, motel, whatever it is. Um, yeah. So I'm Steven Schinder.
I'm Dan Schinder.
Yeah, and we are for this live broadcast talking about something that happened a couple weeks ago. So we want to talk about it now while it's timely and while we're together and have the time to talk about it.
A rare
Um,
set of episodes in person together. Usually he's in Bakersfield, California, and Globe, Arizona. So this is really cool. We're having a blast. We may just move into this hotel.
yeah, I doubt it, but yeah, and we're also in between things, so excuse us if we forget certain details. But yeah, we really want to talk about this. So for this episode, we're talking about the Alan White event that took place recently, a couple weeks ago on October 2nd. So I think it was called Alan White Celebrating His Life and Music, and it took place at the Paramount Theatre in Seattle, Washington, and was live streamed through Facebook on the Alan White Facebook page. In fact, I'll share the link to that video in the comments in case any of you haven't listened to it yet.
And it also benefits Why Hunger.
Yeah, this was very much benefiting the Why Hunger charity. They even replayed the Come Together video, which we talked about a while ago, which featured many drummers, including Alan White. And yeah, it's for a great cause. And this was an interesting celebration and also an interesting week because I know I told you this, Dad, recently, but there were like five prog related things that were happening that week that were really cool. Like we had that Alan White a celebration stream happening that Sunday night, and then Tuesday we talked with Annie Haslam, and then Wednesday
We had that guitar player.
yeah, Wednesday we talked with Steve Howe.
Steve Howe, that's right. Steve Howe was on our show.
Yeah, and then Thursday we talked about we went to the
Wait, can I do a mic drop?
Oh, sure.
I don't want to drop it. Okay. We had Steve Howe on.
Yeah, and Thursday we watched that John Anderson Zoom Q&A, which we'll talk about more on his birthday episode.
He's not a moron.
And wait, what?
You said moron.
When did I say moron?
We'll talk more on his birthday.
Oh,
I get
sure.
it now. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you got me. And then Friday was the Total Master Tane stream, which we reviewed on the News Desk episode. I think that was yesterday. Like time
Yeah,
is
that was
blurring.
yesterday. Yeah, it's all blur.
Yeah, it's all blur. But yeah, this video, it's about 4.5 hours long, but some of that was like, it showed the still image of Alan on drums for like maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and then show that again toward the end. So it might be like a 3.5 hour concert, maybe a little more. And they began by showing these messages from various people.
Some you may know.
Yeah, well, they did the like Yes members one toward the middle, but I think in the beginning, and they might have cut out some of these at the beginning, but they posted these like way later on at least. So there were messages from Steve Hackett, Tony Dimitriadis, who's Alan's former manager. I think that might have been during the Yes West era, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, but so was Alec. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and Phil Carson, from Atlantic Records, Denny Saywell.
Sywell.
Okay,
Who
yeah.
played with Paul McCartney and Wings.
Right.
Good friend of the show.
Yeah, and Jeff Pilson, and Sharon Chavin, Steve Lukather, and Mick Fleetwood. So they showed some of those messages and then went into the concert. Let me make sure I'm like sharing this and whatnot. But
yeah, you're good. Don't worry about multitasking too much.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, it seems like we sound good on this.
Okay.
But yeah, so it went into the Oh, let me mute this.
Now shut those guys up. That's disruptive.
Yeah. So the concert began. I have the set list like right in front of us. It began with this like marching band doing like the Mind Drive. Yeah, and then it segued into the song. I think Caspian performed on this, "Telephone Secrets," which was a huge, like, I was watching this live and I was like commenting, and like when they play this I recognized it right when they started singing. It was like Telephone Secrets. I typed that in all caps, and
You're the
that,
first one in.
yeah, that was like an XYZ demo, so like already
For,
starting with a deep cut right there.
as deep as it could get. For those who don't know, XYZ was Chris Squire, Alan White, Jimmy Page, X, Yes, Zeppelin, XYZ. And until Telephone Secrets came out, it was pretty much da 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 da. The piece that became Mind Drive, that was starting to develop with Jimmy, Chris, and Alan respectively. And Telephone Secrets is probably the deepest cut they played.
Yeah, it might be because
It's not even a real cut.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because it was like an not officially released thing, but of course it's
Right.
trickled out into bootlegs and YouTube over the years. So definitely, like right off the bat, I was like very excited about this because I was like, oh, okay, they're really pulling
yeah,
deep
they,
with
they
this
put a
stuff.
lot of thought into it, which of course we knew they would. But to pull something like that in made it from the beginning very Alan White centric, which was cool.
Yeah.
They could have
Um,
done it chronologically and started way back when he got that call from John Lennon, then some George Harrison stuff, and then on and on, Joe Cocker and Yes, but they mixed it all up, which was great.
Yeah.
Except the end kind of started towards the end. Sorry, it ended with kind of the beginning of his career, playing with Beatle members and that kind of thing.
yeah.
I like how it was all mixed up because you didn't know what was coming next. Had they started doing like 3 songs chronologically, you could have kind of almost guessed or followed along, at least era wise. But this was a nice stirred up thing, which was great.
Yeah, like I think overall they start with XYZ, then did a couple Yes songs, and then a couple of things in the middle, and then more Yes related stuff, and then the rest of the concert was like Beatles related stuff for the most part, at least. So yeah, I was gonna ask you if you would have preferred chronologically, but I guess you
No,
already answered my
yeah,
question.
I think I wouldn't want to know what's coming next. It
Yeah.
would have been. It kind of makes sense to do that, but I like not knowing. You know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've always, through my life, when it comes to concerts and when bootlegs started coming out, and then of course the internet, the outer web, and all that, you could easily see a show months before they come to your town. I've always avoided that if I'm going to go see the show. I don't want to know what they're going to play. You know.
Yeah, whereas when it comes to Yes concerts, I like knowing what I'm getting before I go
Why
to see
is
them.
that?
I don't know. I guess just to set my expectations, perhaps. Like I don't know, but it doesn't hurt the concert for me. Like I still enjoy the concert
Yeah,
regardless. But I totally get like why someone would want to be surprised.
I think for me, it's the element of surprise, and there are very few surprises left in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that for like the album series, you already know some of what you're getting. I think we talked about this
Yeah,
on a
especially
previous
if there's
episode.
3 songs on the album.
Yeah. So getting back to the set list, after Telephone Secrets, we got Trevor Rabin on stage, and beforehand we had seen clips that Dave Kersner posted. I think we saw them rehearsing changes,
Yeah,
and
he's like in the 4th row or something, checking
Yeah.
it all out.
yeah, it was really cool. And I think beforehand, when they announced which Yes members were going to perform, you and I were kind of expecting that Trevor would be playing with the rest of the guys because of the way they were listed, and Steve Howe not being able to make it. But yeah, he ended up performing with his son Ryan Rabin was on drums, and so it was not with the other Yes members, but he played Owner of a Lonely Heart and Changes. So
Taking places.
yeah, so very much representing that Yes West era. For Owner of a Lonely Heart, I mean, watching it's no secret. Like Trevor forgot some of the lyrics and some of the order of things, and
When that happens, I have so much latitude for that. I know there's some lab coats out there with air tire measure, pressure measures, a meat thermometer, a couple different highlighters, a pen, a mechanical pencil, drafting pen. I could give a shit. To me, I look at it as that's the live version. That's music, spontaneous. You might change stuff, forget stuff. it's music. It's not some terminal illness. We got to give people some latitude. Lighten the f up, folks, because there's some
Right.
people that lose their minds over that. Oh my God, you've known this song for 30 years. You can't get it right. It's like, what? Come on, they haven't played it in 30 years. It's
Yeah.
silliness.
Well, I mean,
really.
he's played it with ARW,
But I mean, in general,
but
I'm
like in
saying,
general, he's not used to singing because it's usually John singing the words. And I know people can make the argument that
he did the
he
original.
wrote the song
But I mean,
and whatever.
in general, give people latitude for this stuff. I've seen Ian Anderson forget lyrics. I've seen John Anderson forget lyrics. I've seen John Anderson forget lyrics again. And then once again, I don't know if I told you this, I saw John Anderson forget lyrics. Who cares?
Yeah.
Change lyrics. Sorry.
Right. So what was I gonna say? I like lost my trip. I know
The lineups. Trevor, you thought he was going to play with the rest of the band.
right, and I'm on my phone, but I'm not like checking like Instagram or whatever. I'm sharing it to different
He's winning
groups.
at solitaire.
No,
actually.
I'm not.
Oh.
I'm sharing the video into different groups on my phone.
Okay.
So that was Vulnerable Lonely Heart, and then Changes. I think he did a better job, but he did forget a couple lyrics here and there. He even corrected himself. Like there's a moment where he said, "You left me here, believe in," or something, and he corrected himself saying "pretending," and so there was that thing,
Who
and
cares?
right,
And I know you're not being critical. You're just reporting on the event because you're not
Right.
critical about that stuff.
yeah, I mean, like these were definitely not perfect, and like I would have preferred the lyrics to have been done correctly, like, but I don't know what the rehearsal time was.
There's probably
and I don't
little
know.
to zero.
Yeah, and to be fair, Trevor was a good sport about it. You know, after Owner of a Lonely Heart, he was like saying, "Oh, he sabotaged me," like referring to some sound person or something.
And I'm gonna
But
throw one more thing in.
yeah.
Ready?
Oh, I think I know what it is, but go ahead.
What do you think it is?
You've seen John Anderson forget
No, that would have been good.
lyrics.
No one gives a shit about the lyrics, especially for this. It's about LMI. No, I'm kidding, but it was a fun memorial that was kind of a party, kind of a. Some people have used the term funeral. I get that. I don't think that's what it was. It was more of a memorial, and there was little to no rehearsal. And if some people forget stuff they haven't played in years, so what? You know? Do you know what
Yeah.
you had for lunch Thursday, February 32nd
Right.
in third grade?
I remember I had Lunchables at some point.
February 32nd.
Wait, you said February 32nd. I totally missed that. But yeah, like I would have preferred the songs done a bit better, but at the same time, I'm thankful that Trevor made it out
Yeah.
there and
Oh yeah,
was
there were some surprises for sure. Not only in the performances,
Yeah.
but some of the recorded tributes as well.
yeah, and just so people are clear, I'm not knocking anyone who wasn't able to go there. Like I know there's that whole thing, but like I'm not part of that sort of criticism
Yeah.
type of thing. I'm just thankful that this event happened and they're celebrating Alan, so just have fun with it. Like I know there were audio problems in the stream because that's how we watched it, and there were audio problems for some of the beginning and maybe a couple of parts like 2/3 in, but I'm glad that and I was listening to it on headphones, so I don't know if it sounded better for me because of that than it did for other people, but all that is to
And-
say, I'm glad the concert happened at all, and we who weren't able to go to it in person were able to see
A wonderful event, and please don't misconstrue this as being very critical of that. We're just reporting. That's not what we're doing. It was amazing. We wish we could have been there. We wanted to go there. We just couldn't change certain things in our schedules. We couldn't get there, or we would have been there for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And looking at my notes, I think Bob Rivers, who's hosting this thing, came up before the Trevor stuff, and he had some neat anecdotes. Like you could tell he was a huge fan of Alan and of Yes, and talking about him with reverence. And he made a little joke about how like Alan telling Gigi that he used to play with John Lennon was like a nice pickup line type of thing. And yeah, I also have in my notes Seattle Seahawks performed and Wreak Havoc was on percussion. I think it might have been for Telephone Secrets. But yeah, Bob Rivers saw Yes in the round in 1978, so you could tell he has fond memories of that,
So going back a step, if you don't mind,
right?
anecdotes. Can I tell one of my many Alan White anecdotes?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who haven't heard this or forgot or don't care,
I need to take care of something real quick, but
okay,
yeah, tell the audience.
okay. So I knew Alan since 1989, and the way we met is a whole different story. But shortly after we met, um, I showed up at his house when my son Alex, Stephen's older brother by 4.5 years, was, I think, like literally a month old, maybe, or something. And when I have the picture, I'll show you in a moment. And when we showed up at his house, he opened the door, and I went like this because, and it was maybe around, no, it was June because it was near his birthday. Yeah, because Alex was born on June 16th, so it's like a month later ish. And Alan had on Speedos and a scuba tank. And I said, Alan, I don't know what it's like in England, but here Halloween is October 31st. And he laughed and he said, no, my neighbor's drain is messed up, so I'm going to go down in their pool and fix it for them. That's the kind of guy he was. And so I said, well, look, Alex. And Alex was recently, I actually saw Gigi driving, and I pointed to the back seat in the car seat, and she waved me to pull over. She saw Alex for the first time. So follow me back to the house. You got to show Alan. So this is the picture. I don't know if you could show the monitor so I know where I'm
Let me
positioning this.
see.
But this is the picture. Alan threw on some shorts, and believe it or not, that's me with a little bit of hair. And Alan would have been right after his 42nd birthday. And then my son Alex in my arms was maybe even less. He might have only been a couple weeks old or so. He's grown. He's about 5'9" and 250. But that's Steve's older brother, and that's my anecdote to really exemplify the kind of guy Alan was. Put on a scuba tank to go down into his neighbor's pool to fix the drain.
Yeah, it's yeah. He was just like a really down to earth
Yeah,
guy, and
very humble. That was not a neighborhood that was well to do. It was the neighborhood I grew up in. I was on my way to see my parents, we lived on the hill behind where they lived, where I grew up. My parents still lived. It was not a well to do area. This is just the kind of guy Alan was.
yeah. And so after the Rabin era stuff, we got Alan's band White coming on the stage, and they played. I think the song is called "Mighty Love," and it was a nice sounding song. It kind of sounds closer to like maybe conventional rock. Like I don't, it wasn't prog rock, but it
From the
was a nice.
Spinners, way back to
Wait,
the Spinners.
well, I know the Spinners had a similar song, but I'm pretty sure this was a different song which White did that had like a
I
similar
think
title.
it's the Spinners.
Well, we're looking at well, on Setlist FM, they have like a couple like mistakes. Like for changes, they put David Bowie, and for Mighty Love, they put the Spinners. So
Oh, Mighty Love was David Bowie song.
no, it wasn't. Um, so it was a nice sounding song. I need to revisit White because I think I've only listened to a couple songs from that album, so I'll have to see that. But after that, they played In the Presence of, and I remember you were saying like, "Wow, that's a deep cut," and yeah, like, what are your thoughts
It
on that
is.
one?
I love it because it features the original and live Alan playing piano in the
Yeah,
beginning, which may have been the first time he played piano live with Yes that I could think of. But he did play some piano on Tales from Topographic Oceans. I don't know if people know that. I don't know exactly which parts, but I do know for a fact that he did play piano. That's the first studio album he recorded with them. The first album being Yes Songs. So that was really cool. I consider that a deep cut, and I love that album. That's my favorite song on the album. So I consider that a deep cut. I really do.
yeah, and I mean, like, I got so nostalgic listening to that one because it's crazy to think that that album was like 21
20,
years ago
yeah,
now. Yeah, it's very much a different era from where we are
yeah.
now. So I love when they do stuff like that, putting in stuff that represents multiple eras. So then after that, they did a Spencer Davis song. This was by played by I think it was Spike O'Neill, backed by the All Good People choir. It was "Give Me Some Lovin'," which I know that Yes have covered over the years, at least on the during the Rabin era, maybe the Union tour, they've done it. So
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting choice for them to
Mm-hmm.
do. And then I have in my notes that we also had comedian Ben Bailey. And then after that was some messages from Yes members. So that began with Bill Bruford, and I could tell that he was reading the same thing that he wrote, like for his like social media around the time Alan passed, but added a bit more toward the end of it. And I'm fine with that because it was perfect the way he wrote it. So it's like, and speaking for myself, it's difficult to say something new about something when what you've said before already encapsulates
Especially
it.
so
So
close to it. It's ironic that we had Bill on the show very shortly before Ellen passed.
yeah, it was like a
too.
month before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I like what he had to say
Do
about
you
Alan.
do you have favorites as far as the recorded tributes of those who couldn't be there, and any surprises?
Um, yeah, I'll have to think about that. Like, I wasn't really considering that, but I'll go through like what the other ones were, and then maybe
Okay.
I'll like throw my 2 cents on that. So then we got Oliver Wakeman's tribute where he did his video message, and you could hear the gift of love in the background. He had the song from a page, so you could hear Benoit's singing on that.
Which is
Um,
cool.
yeah, and he threw in a nice pic of himself with Alan in the bar, talking about how Alan kind of took him under his wing.
Yeah, he talked about that. I think when we interviewed him too.
Right, yeah.
Alan
And
was there for him. Yeah.
yeah, he might have. And I remember seeing that because Oliver posted that video on his page before this concert happened, and I shared the video, but I didn't like make the time to watch it yet because maybe didn't feel ready. But seeing it in the context of the concert, I was like, oh, that's really sweet. I love that. And then we got Steve Howe, with his message. He called Alan a vibrant, happy, and friendly person, and talked about how they were close in the 70s and owned a health. I think he said they owned a health store called Brownies.
Yeah, it's a health food store slash restaurant called Brownies.
Yeah, like I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
knew that Steve Howe did. I had no idea Alan was part of that. I knew that from back when Steve's first solo album came out. I had no idea that Alan was part of that.
right, and so Steve ended his message with he got his guitar and played a little bit of the beginning of Turn of the Century,
Which
and
Alan co-wrote, started the foundation of.
right, yeah. And I don't know who came up with this idea, but it was really brilliant how, for this sequence of messages, they put it in an order in which Steve's would segue into John's. Like, it started out with like a text that was like a nice message from John and his wife Jane, and I think maybe the cover art or maybe the back cover art from Union was in picture, and so they had that nice message, and then it showed a video from March 2007 of one of John's acoustic performances of Turn of the Century. So he was singing and playing that, and like talk about like I feel like this is something I would have done, like putting them in that order, and it was just a nice bit of. It felt like a nice bit of synergy, even if it wasn't planned that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Rick Wakeman's message where he was reading jokes, and it was pretty funny how.
Typical Rick.
Yeah, I mean, this felt like to me, it felt like the antithesis of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame confusion. I kind of feel like maybe Rick was um, possibly poking fun at himself by saying can't read that when talking about memories with Alan. But he talked about racquetball and said he missed sharing the room and double suites with him. And last time they saw each other was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, and he shared a piano version of himself playing "And You and I" from the Piano Portraits tour in 2018. So I'm still going back and forth on what my favorite was, but what did you think of these video tributes that the Yes members and alumni sent in?
I loved all of them. I think Steve Howe's might have been the one that really went through my heart the most.
Mm,
But some surprises: Phil Carson, Jeff Pilson, who I worked with on the Ox and the Loon documentary with Drum Talk TV, and Brian Tichy. Um, if you go back to that screen, please, that showed some of the tiles. Phil
um,
Carson, Jeff Pilson, oh, Steve Hackett, Denny Sywell, I didn't
yeah,
expect to see, which was great. Sharon Chevon, which was great. We've done some work with her. And Mick Fleetwood, I did not
yeah,
expect to see Mick. Not that I didn't expect to see him, I didn't expect to see him. Does that make sense?
right,
Like, not that I thought, he's not going to show up. I had no idea. That's what I mean.
right.
Let me, if you don't, or can you
Like
scroll
with
through a little bit?
Alan, we expect the Yes members, but don't really think about like all these other people that he was involved with.
Yeah. It was
Oh,
nice that Tony Levin showed up for that. There were some surprises like that that I really, because I didn't expect him, I got really choked up.
well, oh, that's a Levin Torn White video
Oh,
that's here. Okay.
I thought he did something.
Did he? I don't
Maybe
know,
I could be
but
wrong. It's happened.
okay. Oh, also Roger Dean
Oh,
sent in a
yeah.
message and showed like the cover art for the album White. You know, for that the band's studio album, and I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool how he talked about that for a
Yeah.
bit. Um, and yeah, so I think my favorite of the video messages.
Give me her
eh,
favorite and her biggest surprise.
Well, I think my favorite is probably the Oliver one because I'm just a sucker for that song, "The Gift of Love," and just like, yeah, it's probably one of my favorite Yes songs actually, and just the way he talked about those memories of
Yeah,
like
that's true. Taking
hanging
him
out with
under his
Alan.
wing, and yeah.
Um,
Ellen kind of mentored him on the biz, and
yeah,
not to stress out on all that.
yeah, and I think the Steve Howe one was probably the most surprising to me because I didn't expect him to actually play on the
Yeah,
song.
that was cool. When he grabbed the guitar, I was like, "Oh, what's he gonna play?"
Yeah. So yeah, those video messages were great, and then
I thought Steve was gonna do an XYZ song. Actually.
yeah, and then we cut back to the concert in the stream, and Fernando Perdomo and John Davison played "Song of Innocence" from Ramshackled, and this was set to a montage of photos of Alan throughout his life.
Yeah,
Um,
that was touching.
yeah, there were. I remember there were like there's maybe a moment where the sound went out. I think because it was switching between the live stuff and the photos. But overall, Davison singing that song was just he did such a great job. And during this stream, there were people commenting, and during that, when John Davison was on, there were maybe only one or two people who were saying like the typical thing of like for me, yes, this was John Anderson type of thing. But for the most part, I people were really respectful because this is an Alan White celebration. There's no room for any of that type of
Yeah,
thing.
we don't care who you think yes
All that
is.
stuff
Yeah,
we're very tired of hearing. It's like why even comment
I'm sure
if,
they're more tired. Yeah, why even bring it up? And
yeah,
please don't bring it up here.
yeah. And then so "Song of Innocence" was great. Then we got the Turn of the Century tribute video,
That was great.
which they've been playing at the beginning of their
Yeah.
recent shows. And then I think Rivers came on stage and was like, "Do you want to hear some Yes?" And people were excited, but I kind of wish he had mentioned that this was Arc of Life performing this next thing because I didn't realize it until later when Dave Kersner mentioned it. But this was the first live performance by Arc of Life in any capacity because
Yeah.
their first album came out before like the pandemic,
And then they couldn't do anything. That's a
Yeah.
huge moment for them.
Yeah, and like the whoever was operating the cameras didn't show Dave enough, if at all. And like earlier in the concert, I remember people were like, "Show the keyboardist," in like one of the earlier performances, and I was like, "Yeah, the cinematography could have been better in that regard."
But
But
but again, we don't mean to be too critical. We're just reporting. It was a monumental moment for them because it's
right,
the first time they played live together. And Dave
Yeah.
didn't even realize that till afterwards, and we saw him post it. And we had Dave on the show 3 weeks ago.
No, it was more than that. It was in early August, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
so they played
And Dave was great, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a fun conversation. And so Jimmy Hahn was on guitar for this. They played The Fish. I guess it's technically Whitefish, but yeah, like I recognize because it has The Fish, but not excerpts from any other songs except for Ritual. You know, they did the drum part of Ritual. You know, Jay on drums, and I think John contributed to that as well. And
And
it
I
was
loved,
really cool.
I have to say, just a side note, I love the original version of Whitefish from 9012 Live with the excerpt from da 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 bum bum bum.
Yeah, and you can even hear John Anderson
Yeah.
singing the yes, yes part of that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I loved that. That was a deep cut back then.
Yeah.
When was that?
Just like a few years after the drama album came
Yeah,
out.
that was cool. That was cool. But great job on that, guys, to pay tribute that way to both Chris and Alan at the same time. I'm sure they are jamming big time. I can imagine Chris Squire on bass, Alan Watt on drums, Jimi Hendrix on guitar, and let's put Janis Joplin on vocals, and you've got a band that is, well, heavenly.
Yeah, and bring Peter Banks if he's up
Oh,
to it,
yeah,
like, yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, Jeff Downs came on stage and he was talking about how Alan was like kind of like a brother and everyone's best friend, and he mentioned how he and Alan talked about possibly writing a book, but of course, like unfortunately, like you know, so I would have loved to read something like
Hopefully,
that.
Jeff, go ahead and make that happen anyways. And we're reaching out to get Jeff on the show. I remember 2019 or 18, maybe it would have been 17. I gotta look it up. Where I got with Alan at the hotel one of the days of the NAMM show to do an interview, and Jeff was his roommate.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, they roomed as well. So Alan clearly had something for feeling safe rooming with keyboard players.
Yeah, I mean it's like the two instrument positions are usually toward the back, you know. Yeah.
Well, so that we have all the lingerie blockers in the front.
Oh my gosh.
That's really their job. You know that, right? The guitar player, the
Um,
bass player, and it's to block the lingerie from being thrown at the drummer. And the
Okay, I
keyboard
see what
player.
you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So after that, they they also had Jordan Rudess on keyboards at some point.
Oh, Jordan's a genius.
Yeah, he and John Davison did Soon and To Ascend. I think so. Maybe it's been a bit since I watched the whole thing, but I feel like in certain songs they had like two keyboardists at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
So they did Soon, and then this next one surprised me, like much to my delight, and I typed it in the comments in all caps. This was To Ascend, my favorite song off of Heaven and Earth. Like I know everyone has their opinion on that album, but I love that song from that album.
And honestly, how can you not include that? You know, if you think
Right.
about it.
Yeah, and John Davison, and you could tell that he intentionally did this, but toward the end of To Ascend, he changed the lyrics so that, like a bit more, like some optimistic lyrics about. I think he said something like, "Now your healed wings can fly from the hand," and it was just a nice tribute to Alan, and it segued nicely into All Good People. And then they did Wondrous Stories. Jeff was definitely on keys for that. I think it took a little bit for Jay to come in on the drums for that one. And Billy came in with backing vocals toward the end, like during the I think you know what you mean when I say that third section where they're singing like "It is no lie," see that part.
Into the future.
Yeah, and then they ended the Yes set with
everything so close.
yeah.
And you there to see. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and then they ended the Yes set with Roundabout.
So cautiously at. Oh. I love that song. You know, that's me and Encha's song. That's our song.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they included All Good People and Roundabout because those were not songs that Alan originally performed on, but he performed them a lot, like for Yes over the years for the majority of their career. So it's like, yeah, you might as well say those are good ways of celebrating Alan, you know?
Yeah.
And then we got the so after that, we had White Sox play "Power to the People," and Jeff Scott Soto sang "Blue Suede Shoes" and "Money." These two songs are from Live Peace in Toronto, you know, from Plastic Ono Band. So, like we said, the rest of the set was very Beatles centric.
Which was
Um,
cool.
yeah.
That sounded great. The George Harrison song took that section, in my opinion.
Oh
My
yeah.
Sweet Lord, that was beautiful. I
Yeah.
loved that.
Yeah. So uh, we got the John Lennon song "Jealous Guy," and then "Stand By Me," which, you know, "Stand By Me" hasn't been a staple in my like musical, like stuff that sticks with me music wise, but hearing it in this context, like it really spoke to me more than like in any other context I've heard the song. It just felt, I don't know, I got really emotional like hearing it in this fashion, you know. And like you said, they played "My Sweet Lord," and then they did "Instant Karma," and then "Imagine," and "All Things Must Pass," and "A Little Help from My Friends." And you know, this concert went on longer than I thought it would, but I was still really enjoying like these.
The
This,
surprises kept coming. That's the thing.
yeah,
You
like,
know?
and like the Beatles section of this set list, and just, you know, in that moment, like you know, it was a Sunday night, and I was just enjoying that all these people were here celebrating Alan White and having a fun time playing and covering these songs, and it just, it was a great way to
It
end
was
the night.
it was put together fairly quickly too. You know,
Yeah,
that's the thing. For such a great event that unfolded the way it did and blossomed the way it did, I was very impressed because in terms of a show like that with that many people, it was very short notice. So great job by everybody who did put that together.
yeah, and I remember beforehand there was maybe rehearsal footage of, I think Billy was like noodling around doing a little bit of "Does It Really Happen" and Sound Chaser. So I don't know if those were seriously considered for this, or maybe he was just playing around.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure.
like those were cool to see, and I know Joe Cass was at rehearsals, I think, and said that it was really cool. So maybe he'll chime in at some point and say like
Even
it's,
if it's on the archive.
yeah, or even if it's on a later episode, like because I know he really enjoyed like the whole thing, and yeah, it's like such an amazing event and really great way to celebrate Alan. It was, yeah, I don't know. I just got emotional like watching the stream
Yeah.
live, you know. Um, and yeah, I don't know like what else to say honestly.
Yeah,
It was,
let us know. So let's end with this. If you're watching live or watching the archive, let us know what some, because you cannot narrow it down to one, let us know what some of your favorite works are by Alan with Yes and outside of Yes with Joe Cocker, George Harrison, with John Lennon, with Wreak Havoc, any other stuff. Let us know. Video game soundtracks he's done, anything. Let us know some of your favorite works. If you saw him play live, where and when,
yeah,
and we'll kind of put a little bucket together, a collection of that stuff, and we'll repost those or read them off in a subsequent episode or something
right,
like
yeah. Like I'm sure more talk of this could trickle in some later episodes, but we just really wanted to cover like all the main stuff for
that. Yeah,
this, like not too long after it's happened, because like like we've been sitting on this, and like I've been just anxious to talk about this, you
yeah.
know.
And
um,
Gigi and Cassie and Jesse, I love you so much, and thank you for letting me into your lives early. I know Jesse and Cassie probably don't remember, but I remember when you had chicken pox, and I was over there, and I had not had chicken pox, so neither had Grandpa. So I was kind of
oh
like,
wow.
I gotta go now. But I really appreciate all the connection we've had since 1989, Thanksgiving Day, if you remember. That's another story. And to everybody who is part of this, not only on stage, but also putting it together, making it happen, and to our Yesshift and Drum Talk TV fans, thanks for following what we do and chime in on this. And let's honor Alan. Let us know your favorite work by him. If you have videos that you want to submit of you performing work that Alan was involved with, whether it's doing Yes covers or whatever, you can go to drumtalktv.com, and on the upper right, click on video submissions and follow the directions there. There's a forum. We'd love to still continue to honor Alan. It's not, hey, let's honor him and it's over. You know, it's a forever
Right.
thing. With
Like we're definitely like it's a given that we're not gonna stop talking about it. He's just so essential to Yes history. So it's like how
and
can we
prog
not
rock
talk
history
about...
and just so much. He got our very first Drum Talk TV award, the Prague Legacy Award, at the 2020 NAMM show, and he didn't know he was going to get it. I connived with Gigi to bring him there, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
He had no idea, and that was very fun. That was such an honor to give my friend and one of my biggest influences, not only in drumming but in music and in life, learning how someone so successful could be so humble and down to earth. And that's a lesson for everybody at any stage in their journey of whatever they're doing. So thank you, Alan, and thank you, Gigi, so much. And thanks, everybody. You can write us at yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us at at
Facebook.com/Yesshift. And we also upload it to YouTube. You can just search Yesshift and you'll find us. I'm still trying to figure out like the customized URL thing. Apparently
you have to have a certain amount of
well, we have that amount, but last time I checked with YouTube, it said they were still working on fixing some stuff, I guess. So I'll have to double check on that.
Just search it, you'll find it. And if you like audio only podcasts and don't want to look at us, which I get, especially me, you can go to anchor.fm/Yesshift, and we're on all the big podcast stations, and you'll see our channel there. Steve takes care of that, does an awesome job, and we'll see you soon. And watch for our documentary film on Roger Dean and Freya Dean's artwork. So much work in that exhibit that Alan was involved with. So we're actually working on that some more tonight, doing some voiceovers of some clips. They were so nice to let us film there, take pictures, and we're very excited because Roger Dean's very close to both our hearts. So watch for that, and we will see you soon, broadcasting live from San Francisco. What?
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.